Hey, it's Brian Mudd. This is my cheat sheet for Tuesday, January 29th. Today's question is a complicated one, and there's no finite answer to it. A woman reached out to me. She's been married for a long time. She has a couple of kids, and she's not used to managing finances. Her husband did that for the entire time they were married. So now she's faced with an unexpected divorce. She's faced with the uncertainty regarding her kids, and she's not sure or confident of her financial situation. So what do you do? Well, one of the first things, and maybe the first thing, don't make emotional decisions either in the divorce process, the divorce settlement, or immediately after the divorce. And I speak from experience on this. My divorce wasn't my choice either. The emotional decisions I allowed myself to make that were huge mistakes after that divorce, those were my decisions. So first and foremost, you've got to get your emotion away from your money. This is true at all times, but it's much more complicated when you're going through a situation like this. Next thing, as part of the divorce settlement, one of the things that you will typically do, especially if it's a somewhat smooth process, you'll sit down with an attorney or two attorneys, and you'll go through the various different assets, and you'll divide them up, theoretically, equitably, right? Well, what is your income? What are your household expenses going to be in your new life? What about the obligations to the kids that you have? So before you decide just to split things up equitably, especially if some of those things that are equitable in nature have loans attached to them that require carrying cost, you might not want that. One of the important things to do as part of the divorce settlement process, and talk this over with your attorney, what are the carrying costs of the assets that you're going to take possession of? It might be more worth your while if your husband, for example, has a higher level of income for him to take more of the debt assets and you to take more of the stuff that's paid for, because you might not have the same level of income to be able to carry it. So that's another very key and critical part of this process. Before it's all legalized and finalized in the courts, figure out your monthly expenses, how much your monthly income is going to be, have that estimated if you're going to have spousal support going on, before you commit to take on loans that are going to put you in a position day one from that divorce to have to carry them. And here's the final piece of it. You got to start somewhere. So when you're managing your finances, you got to get back to basics. The essentials. For the essentials, the roof over your head, the car you're going to drive, your responsibility to your kids, your utilities, figure out how much that's going to be. Figure out how much your monthly income is. Then figure out the rest of it, and you can decide what's important to you from there. It's going to be an education. You're not going to go from not managing your finances to being an expert overnight. But you got to start with the basics, and you've got to manage to the basics, and you can add stuff in as you have the financial wherewithal to do so. Now, this won't help the average, or the person I'm talking to right here, but if you're in a married situation and your spouse takes care of the money, even if you are comfortable with that, always have an understanding. I've always given the advice that even if you have a great financial advisor, still educate yourself on your money, your finances, what goes on to the extent you can, so that you can help provide good feedback and understand the questions that are being asked by your financial advisor of you over the course of time. It can't hurt to be educated that way. Same deal when you're married. Look, I'm a fan of marriage. I anticipate that with Ashley, I'll never get divorced. But you still want to always have an understanding of where you are, how things work. Think of it like being an auditor. Even the most well-run companies out there have auditors, right? Just to make sure they didn't make mistakes and stay on track. At a minimum, you could be that to your spouse as they manage the finances. And if they're ever afraid to show you the books, well, just like you'd be afraid of a company that wouldn't show its books, at least the real ones, to the auditors, that might be a red flag. Hope that was helpful, and I'm sorry you're going through that situation. All right, so let me get through some quick hitters here real quick. No wonder that people are working longer in the workforce. We just recently had the story that nearly 5% of those over the age of 75, 5% of the workforce made of those over 75, and we're closing in on 20% of the workforce that is over the age of 65 all told. Well, no wonder. New research shows that 74% of baby boomers aren't prepared for retirement. 74%. In fact, that 74% will be completely reliant on Social Security along with their other income to get through a given month worth of expenses. The average Social Security check, about $1,200. That tells you that nearly three-quarters of baby boomers are $1,200 or less a month away from defaulting and not being able to live. That's pretty scary. And it's going to be even more chilling as we run into future generations where Social Security is not sustainable at its current form. Another reminder about how important it is to get saving and have a retirement plan built as early in life as possible. New free app. This one's pretty cool. It's Nooly. Nooly. It's an Israeli company that's had this product in beta for like a couple of years. I kind of looked at it on the periphery, but I was surprised when it was released yesterday. But it was. It's a free weather app for the Droid and iPhone, so Apple and Android-based products. And it goes where no other weather app has before. It's free. Download it. You can tool around with it if you're a weather bug. But among the things that are really neat with it, it uses your current location if you enable that. And it will predict within 5 minutes if there's going to be a weather change, including bad weather. And it'll predict within 5 minutes when that weather event will go away. Also, when you're on the map, rather than just kind of showing you radar and you guessing if there's bad weather in the area, it shows where you are, and it shows where bad weather is geographically around you in an easy-to-see form, which is pretty neat as well. It has plenty of other tools for you to play around with, but I think it's a pretty neat app, and especially if you're into various different weather resources, it's worth a look at least. Nooly, Nooly. That is a cheat sheet for today. Plenty more on the physical cheat sheet. Enjoy yours. See you tomorrow.